On ESPN's First Take, Stephen A. Smith explained one of the reasons why he will never rank LeBron above Jordan: the softness of this current era. The best and most complete player I have seen in my lifetime is LeBron James on and off the floor. He passed the eye test, and the numbers confirm what my eyes have seen in every statistical category. GOAT, let it be known. Isaiah Thomas on LeBron James. Stephen said, eras matter, and what I find most egregious, most blasphemous about Isaiah Thomas's statement is that he ignores the era he's playing in, as far as I'm concerned. It was very physical, it was very volatile, it was an era made for the Kendrick Perkins of the world, for crying out loud. I'm talking about banging bodies, Jordan rules, people getting assaulted and only called for a foul, as opposed to today where you can get ejected for having bad breath. LeBron James is 6'9", 260 pounds, is playing in the softest era we have ever seen in NBA basketball. Stephen A. makes a great point. Should Jordan not get more credit for his career, considering how much harder it was to dominate offensively back then? The physicality of the NBA back then made it so much harder to score, especially over the course of an entire season. Still, some believe today's NBA isn't too far from that. You forget that LeBron and I started in 2003. The league wasn't soft then in 2003. They still had Gary Payton, they still had Shaquille O'Neal, they still had Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, they still had some Rough Riders. The league was back then what it is today. LeBron James and Vince Carter are the only players in NBA history to play at least 22 NBA seasons. But while Vince was running on fumes in year 22, LeBron continues to play like one of the best players in the league and is fighting for the All-NBA spot. Longevity and the ability to sustain greatness over that period is Bron's main argument in the never-ending greatest of all-time debate. Nobody in the history of the game has played this great for this long, and in doing so, King James has shattered many records, including Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring mark. However, NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal is not impressed with Bron's longevity. During the latest episode of The Big Podcast, the four-time NBA champion said that James's ability to last this long is a mere byproduct of playing in a soft era. Definitely, said Shaq. It's less physical. Right now, you get a flagrant foul, you get fined, you get suspended. Like, guys ain't fouling hard no more. Back before I played, it was crazy. When I played, it was crazy. But even before, like the 80s going to the 90s, it was probably more physical then. Sure, playing in today's era may have made it easier. Still, you can't just dismiss James's commitment, dedication, and hard work year in and year out. But then again, Big Diesel doesn't know that because, as Kobe said, he would have won more rings if Shaq was not a bit lazy. How was Michael Jordan's era different from today? Few could transcend their sport and find a place in general culture. Few, worldwide, could make their sport an icon of social culture. Michael Jordan is one such a figure, for he revolutionized basketball and arguably helped redefine how people view athletes and sports for the rest of the world. Legendary performances and awards that almost can't be numbered, Michael Jordan's accomplishments over the course of his career would indeed include cultural impact far beyond the court. Champions of the Chicago Bulls, changing trends in fashion, marketing, and the global reach of the sport, he altered his legacy as uniquely as any other such person, Michael Jordan. Growing up and the road to glory. Michael's education in basketball began when, famously, he did not make the varsity team as a sophomore. This did not do much to discourage him. Instead, it kindled the desire in him to improve himself. By his senior year, Michael became one of the most coveted high school players in the land. Jordan was drafted third overall in the 1984 NBA draft by an entity that was then relatively unknown, the Chicago Bulls. No one ever thought this would be the start of an era that would forever change basketball. Innovating greatness. Jordan had an extremely superlative season in the 1986-87 campaign, scoring 37.1 points per game, thus emerging as the first player since Wilt Chamberlain to score that high in an entire season. Jordan's scoring appeared unstoppable as against him were evolved his notorious Jordan rules defensive tactics by his opposing teams in a desperate attempt to handle him. But outside of all his individual brilliance, Jordan had to translate this talent into teamwork, and the Bulls just couldn't outshine such competitors as the Boston Celtics and Detroit Pistons at the tail end of the 1980s, even with his scoring titles and MVPs. It wasn't until Coach Phil Jackson showed up with the triangle offense to orchestrate it that things really came together for the Bulls. Best years. Arguably, the golden years in Jordan's playing career and championship years for the Chicago Bulls to date are the 1990s. His coach for all those years was Phil Jackson, beside Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. He led the Bulls to consecutive NBA titles in the period of 1991, 1993, 1996, 1998. However, his acumen in high-pressure games, Jordan was always aptly called his airness, was at their best ever in the NBA Finals, where he clinched 4 of his 6 championship-winning seasons for the Bulls as the Finals MVP. Competence behavior among the players. During Michael Jordan's era, his on-court behavior was defined by exceptional competitiveness, a strong work ethic, and a relentless drive to win. He pushed himself and his teammates to their limits, demanding excellence and inspiring them to elevate their game. This approach, while sometimes controversial, was a key factor in the Chicago Bulls' success. If Jordan's Bulls teach us anything about teaming, it's that winning championships demands that everyone play their roles as best as possible. For every clutch shot that Michael Jordan hit, there was a Dennis Rodman rebound or Scottie Pippen assist. Said another way, he dragged the players around him up to his level. Phil Jackson, the Bulls' Zen-like coach, had a much softer touch. He sought to understand each player's personalities, what motivated them, and how they could best contribute. Then he inspired them to leverage their strengths to create a stronger team. For many years, there has been a trend in business away from what may be called the Michael Jordan style of leadership. Putting up great numbers while acting like a jerk is no longer acceptable in many organizations. The war for talent is too competitive. Embrace the art of possibility. Being motivated to succeed at the highest level is necessary but insufficient on its own to drive team success. Team members have to believe in their bones that they can go up against anyone and persevere. In every situation, there will be critics. Just as Jordan had his doubters, particularly early and late in his career, all teams will have non-believers. There will be colleagues, customers, competitors, etc., who won't think that your team can deliver. The story the team tells itself will become its reality. And the more team members believe in their own winning ways, the more they are poised to actually win. It is not going to be the championships, MVPs, or scoring titles. Michael Jordan's legacy will be the transformation that he brought into the game of basketball and its role in the world. He defined what a professional athlete is, to conduct oneself on the field with sports excellence, to that extent altering a culture, and to be the core of business acumen. He popularized basketball to the world, introduced the principle of sponsorships among athletes, and also inspired generations of players to fit into the mold that he had created for them. It's a debate that will seemingly never end, even if LeBron goes on to win game. Soft era or not, LeBron can only be responsible for what he can control, and while he may never be the undisputed GOAT, credit must be given for making the most of his surroundings. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more updates about the NBA world.